This is Power Hour with Gabriella Power.
Hello and welcome to Power Hour. I'm Gabriella Power. Thank you for joining us. We have a massive show coming up and we'll be getting into what's happening with the Epstein files as Lara Trump claims that the Trump administration will be releasing more evidence. Now, former President Joe Biden also defends the use of his autopen, and over the weekend, President Trump reflected on his assassination attempt 1 year after Butler, Pennsylvania.
God was protecting me. Maybe because God wanted to see our country do better or do really well, make America great again. It's a little bit of a dangerous profession being president, but I really don't like to think about it too much.
Certainly it was a miracle. If Trump didn't turn his head in that moment, we'd be living in a very different world. But what everyone can surely agree on, whether you like his politics or not, he is the most entertaining president in the world. This weekend, he handed Chelsea the Club World Cup trophy and he was supposed to leave the podium, but instead he stayed up there celebrating with the players, soaking in the win. Joining us now is Elizabeth Pipko, former RNC spokeswoman. Elizabeth, it is great to see you. I want to start with Jeffrey Epstein and the Epstein files, one of the biggest stories in the world right now, which is not going away anytime soon, because we know more than 1,000 girls and women were abused or trafficked by Jeffrey Epstein, but only one person, Ghislaine Maxwell, is in jail over this. She's serving 20 years on child sex trafficking charges, and Epstein's victims claimed that they were passed around to Epstein's wealthy and powerful friends who regularly visited his homes, including his private island. And last week we were told that the Justice Department and the FBI found that there was no client list, and essentially this was it. We're not getting any more information. Now, Director of the FBI, Kash Patel, posted on X over the weekend saying that conspiracy theories just aren't true. I don't think that went down very well. And FBI Deputy Director Dan Bongino has reportedly been fighting with Attorney General Pam Bondi over how badly she's handled this publicly. Now, Donald Trump has defended both of them. This is what he had to say about Dan Bongino.
Oh, I think so. I did. I spoke to him today. Dan Bongino, very good guy. I've known him a long time. I've done his show many, many times. And he sounded terrific, actually. No, I think he's in good shape.
Trump also defended Pam Bondi, saying she's doing a fantastic job, and then went on to say for years it's Epstein over and over again. Why are we giving publicity to files written by Obama, crooked Hillary, Comey, Brennan, and the losers and criminals of the Biden administration? I mean, suggesting that it was written by Obama seems pretty ridiculous. We have to get more into these files in a moment, but I just want to ask off, firstly, what do you make of what's happening inside the Trump administration and the fallout over these files that we're not getting?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, great to see you. Thanks for having me back. It's funny you asked, what do I think about what's happening in the administration? It's almost funny. I think there's more happening outside of the administration, right? Because it's the administration minus a few people here and there that seems as though that they're very much on the same page and I'm just wanting to move on here. And then there's everyone on the outside that's confused about the way that this was handled and presented and kind of has questions. It's interesting to me that it's happening under this president, right? Everyone knows I'm a giant supporter of President Trump's, and I'm a supporter of his partially because of his transparency. So I actually don't think that this is the end of this story, even if the admin had originally planned for it to be. This is a man who I kind of think wins as much as he does because he listens to the American people, unlike the politicians before him on both the left and the right. And if he's listening to the people, not just in his base, by the way, but anyone that's followed the story, I mean, you detailed a tiny bit of it. It's one of the most disgraceful stories that we have of, the last 10, 15 years that people like I grew up having to follow. So the fact is, if it's not going away, Donald Trump is not going to shoo it aside because he knows that he owes answers to the people who put him in the office that he's in. So it's a combination of things. I don't know if the timing was correct when he first said, why are we talking about Jeffrey Epstein? It was during a meeting where they were actually discussing the flood in Texas. If I'm not mistaken, I think they're still looking for bodies right now. So obviously timing is everything. Maybe that wasn't the time for that topic to come up. However, I understand the people's concern, and I think President Trump as well understands the people's concern and is going to listen. And if people are still going to talk about this and ask questions and be angry about the way it was handled, I think he's going to come back to the table and talk more about it.
Yeah, and it appears that is the case because we know that many MAGA voices who proudly support Trump are pushing back on this because they were promised truth and transparency and they're not going to let this go. They're not going to let the Trump administration move away from it. And Lara Trump revealed on the Benny Johnson show today that the Trump administration is listening and suggested that more evidence will be released. Listen to this.
The consternation out there. And I think he's going to want to set things right as well. So I believe that there will probably be more coming on this. And I believe anything that they are able to release that doesn't, damage any witnesses or anyone underage or anything like that. I believe they'll probably try to get out sooner rather than later because they hear it and they understand it. So hopefully we see that happen sooner than later.
So I guess we can expect more transparency around this, more evidence to come.
Yeah, look, I mean, as Lara said, this is a man who's listening. And if people are talking about it and asking questions, then I think if anyone was in the White House, maybe I would feel differently. But knowing it's Donald Trump, I would assume that his administration is listening. The kind of people that he has in the administration are the types that were asking these questions before they went in, right? So they actually understand where the people are coming from, why there's this much of an uproar, considering what happened and how this was relayed to the public. So I would assume, just like Lara said, if the people are going to continue to ask questions, Donald Trump is one of few presidents who likes to deliver for the people who put him in the position that he's in. And I would assume that they're going to release more information, like she said, that can be released. But I assume they're going to figure out a way to get some answers out to the people because Donald Trump does respect the people who put him in there and the people that have questions about things like this, something he's talked about quite a bit as well.
The Daily Mail is reporting that Ghislaine Maxwell is willing to speak in front of Congress about the Epstein files. A source told the Daily Mail that despite the rumours, Ghislaine was never offered any kind of plea deal and should be more than happy to sit before Congress and tell her story. Elizabeth, I'm sure plenty of people would support something like this.
Look, it would be very interesting, to say the least. I don't know that many details about her case and, what she was offered or wasn't. The fact is, if you're of, the camp that is in the interest of full transparency, you would want something like this, right? Because she's already behind bars. We already know what she was a part of, but more information can never hurt. So I would assume people would be excited about this. Then again, you never know where she's coming from and why someone like her would want to go out and testify on the disgusting crimes that she was a part of. But I'd be curious to see where that goes, because I can only imagine that more and more people are going to be curious for that. Because if you want transparency, you actually don't care who it comes from or where it comes from. You just want more information out there.
Speaking at Turning Point USA at an event over the weekend, Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard claimed that there is a war with the deep state going on.
You think the campaign was hard, you think what President Trump went through was hard, and it was. The road ahead will not be easy. I can attest personally that in my work as the Director of National Intelligence, the deep state is fighting us every step of the way. And it exists within every single federal agency. And so I feel the same frustration that I see many of you expressing on X or in different platforms about why aren't things going faster? Why aren't we getting results more quickly? I feel this frustration every single day. We are pushing hard. Know that they are pushing hard back.
Elizabeth, pretty interesting insight there from Tulsi Gabbard, suggesting that there is still this fight going on with the deep state. What did you make of what she had to say?
I completely agree. There is a fight, and it's a fight that's going to continue to go on because those that have built and upheld Washington, D.C., for all it is, the good and the bad, those are people that are still in there, right? And they're people that are very hard to get rid of when they've been around for such a long time. The fact is, I remember when Elon Musk had announced that he was going into the administration and people asked me what I thought. And I said, I think he's going to be very disappointed. I think it's going to end badly, purely actually because so many people go in thinking they're going to be able to make this giant difference and don't actually realize what it looks like when you work for the federal government. They don't know what it looks like when you're up against so many people and so many institutions that have been in place long before you were born and that are basically meant to work against people like him and people like Tulsi, people that want to go in and do things differently, not by the books, not by the system, and make some kind of real change and make that change fast. So I think what you said makes perfect sense. It's what we kind of expected from an administration filled with people like Kash Patel, like Tulsi Gabbard, like Dan Bongino. So it makes sense. And honestly, I'm happy that despite being in there, she's still able to go out, tell the truth and tell that to the people because people are curious about what she's doing. They're curious about what goes on in there, and they're curious if the people that they have faith in are going to kind of turn into that deep state or stay on their side and stay on the outside despite being in the government. So it's actually refreshing to see her talk that way.
Former President Joe Biden has defended his use of the autopen in an interview with the New York Times. We know that he granted clemency and pardoned more than 1,500 individuals in what the White House described at the time as the largest single-day act of clemency by a US president. Biden insists that he made every decision on his own, yet we know that he did not personally sign many of these documents. His White House staff used an autopen to do so. This is what Donald Trump had to say today.
I mean, you're talking about the autopen. Look, the autopen, I think, is maybe one of the biggest scandals that we've had in 50 to 100 years. This is a tremendous scandal. And I know the people on the other side of the, see that desk, that Resolute desk? Unfortunately, he used it before me. But, you know, we have our choice of 7 desks. They're all beautiful, but I chose the Resolute, and so did he, unfortunately. But the people on the other side of the Resolute desk, I know them. Lisa, the whole group, and they're no good. They're sick people. And I guarantee he knew nothing about what he was signing. I guarantee it.
This interview just raises more questions over those pardons, including Fauci's. His was signed with an autopen.
I mean, look, it's the kind of thing that nightmares are made of. If you had said this was going on during his administration, we would have been told that we were lying and making things up like we were told anytime anyone on the Republican side tried to bring attention to Joe Biden and his obvious decline. And now that it's happening, now that there's proof that this happened, people just kind of want us to forget about it. The fact is, this is a huge scandal. I can only imagine how it would be reported on if it was Donald Trump who was using autopens left and right. For big decisions like this, possibly done without his knowledge. It's sad, it's disgraceful to happen in the United States of America. And it's more disgraceful that people are politicizing it and not reporting on it the way they should be because they're against the fact that Donald Trump is the one bringing it to light and Donald Trump won the 2024 election. That's the fact of the matter. And I think any real journalist prior to 2016 would have had no problem covering a story like this, whether it was a Republican or a Democrat. And it's sad that the country has changed so much that we don't have those standards anymore. But the fact is, any American left, right, pro-Trump, pro-Biden, in between, doesn't matter, would have a problem with this and should have a problem with this.
Finally, we have to talk about Michelle Obama because Michelle Obama and actress Julia Louis-Dreyfus, both multi-millionaires, have taken to the airwaves to complain about how difficult life is for American women. Listen to this.
Women, we have so many landmines and barriers and don'ts and limitations. It's, you know, I mean, Craig, you're the guy at the table, but I think it's important for all guys listening, especially men raising daughters, to realize that difference, you know, and that thing that inadvertently, as you are loving and raising these beautiful girls, there are so many rules
baked
that
in,
make us small,
baked in without our knowing it. You know, and I wish I could. I mean, I remember people saying, "Oh, well, she's a female doctor," as opposed to just she's a doctor.
Former First Lady has previously complained about how expensive it was to live in the White House. I mean, it's a bit painful to listen to this.
It's more than painful, honestly. It's disgraceful. It's sad. it's almost ironic, right? Because this is the person that we as women should be hearing from, who, is out there telling us that you can actually do whatever you want. As a woman, look at me, look where I came from, look where I ended up, and look what I have now. She's the person that can prove that everything that she's saying is something that can be beaten, something that you can rise above. The fact is, of course, women and men are different, and women are treated a certain way in society, and there's people out there that will treat you horribly no matter what. But the fact is, someone like Michelle Obama is proof that it doesn't matter where you come from or how people treat you, you can become one of the most powerful people in the world. The fact is, this is kind of a new thing in America. It's the oppression Olympics, and apparently even former first ladies are willing to compete in it. It's sad and it's pathetic, and I can't understand why she's doing it, but I know that she is desperate for views and attention and some kind of relevancy again. So that is my only guess, truly, for why someone as educated as Michelle Obama would even bother saying that.
Elizabeth Pipko, former RNC spokeswoman, thank you so much for joining us on Power Hour. Great to speak to you again.
You too. Talk soon.
It's time for Media Meltdowns. Well, it's no secret the mainstream media is still suffering from TDS, and it seems they're always looking for new angles or some fake news to slam the president. Washington Post Associate Editor Jonathan Capehart seems concerned that we're not questioning Donald Trump's mental acuity in the same way that Joe Biden had been questioned.
So the thing I keep coming back to on a whole lot of things that the president does, I'm asking the question, why are we not talking about his mental acuity in the way we would if President Biden had been saying and doing a lot of these erratic things? And we're not. And I think we need to start having that conversation.
And that went to air on PBS, the taxpayer-funded network, which has recently been exposed for increasing its negative coverage of Donald Trump and Republicans to more than 90%. But a couple of points for Jonathan Capehart. The media did not question Biden's mental acuity. They covered it up. And if you want to compare the sitting president to Joe Biden, let's do it. Here is Donald Trump.
Media and our friends in the Democrat Party kept saying we needed new legislation. We must have legislation to secure the border. But it turned out that all we really needed was a new president.
And this was Joe Biden just last year.
So I want to thank you all for being here. And now, who am I introducing next? Who's next?
Distinguished guests, the Prime Minister of the Republic of India.
Joining us now is broadcaster and commentator Jeff Cruer. Jeff, great to see you again. Can I get your reaction to the coverage that US taxpayers are getting on PBS, raising concerns that we're not focused on Donald Trump's mental acuity?
Well, PBS has been historically left-wing for decades, and their coverage is very biased. And they had no problem with Joe Biden's mental acuity, and Joe Biden couldn't even remember his own cabinet. Donald Trump goes in front of rallies and speaks for hours and seems to be mentally sharp to me for a 79-year-old man. And the fact that they keep bringing this up is crazy. And they were like totally fine with Joe Biden.
I know.
Who really, I think he had a problem from before he was elected in 2019. I mean, during the campaign of 2020, he was, he confused his sister and his wife. And I don't think he ever really understood who his defense secretary was. He could never figure out the name Lloyd Austin. So, I mean, it's just, it's amazing that they had no problem with that, but they find some issue with Donald Trump. That's crazy.
And we all watched the decline of Joe Biden in real time. And if there was a decline of Donald Trump, we'd all witness that as well. And of course, we'd be calling it out, but we're not seeing it. Now, over the weekend, the White House has honoured Corey Compatore, the hero firefighter who was killed last year in Butler when the gunman tried to assassinate Donald Trump. The White House posted on X 1 year ago, Corey Compatore died a hero, shielding his family from an assassin's bullet in Butler. His courage, love and sacrifice will never be forgotten. We honour Corey today and always. Now, the president has also opened up about coming so close to losing his life just 1 year ago.
You know, I have great confidence in these people. I know the people, and they're very talented, very capable. They had a bad day, and I think they'll admit that. They had a rough day. This is a very dangerous job, being president. You know, I say a race car driver, 1% of 1%, think of that, die. It's not a lot. A bull rider, I think that's pretty dangerous. It's like 1/10 of 1% die. And with the president, it's like 5%. Why didn't you tell me this? I could have maybe made a different decision, but I wouldn't have made a different decision because we're doing so well. The country's back.
The Secret Service, that has an annual budget of $3.2 billion, displayed utter incompetence that day. Are you confident that they'll be able to get it right next time, that there is an attempt on Trump's life?
No, I'm not confident because nobody's been fired. I mean, the only real ramifications were 6 people were suspended for between 10 and 42 days. And a man lost his life, as you pointed out, a real hero who shielded his family. 2 other people, remember, were injured. President Trump came within, millimeters of dying. If he hadn't have turned his head to look at an immigration chart, he would have been dead. I mean, the incompetence is just mind-boggling. I mean, the shooter had a drone in the air on that day, but the Secret Service, with a budget, as you point out, of $3.2 billion, did not. And he was literally running around the whole site for hours and not apprehended. I mean, they should have never allowed President Trump to go out on the stage. So we still need transparency. We need disclosure. The documents haven't been released. Everything needs to be declassified. The man is dead, so they're not protecting anyone. It's got to come forward. The family of the killer, of the man who did kill Corey, has really not cooperated. We haven't heard anything from them. So there are just so many questions that remain a year later.
Are you frustrated that we still don't know anything about the gunman?
Very frustrated because some of his friends say it doesn't make sense that he would have done it. Other information says, well, he went to a range 40 times to practice. And that was the same range the Department of Homeland Security officials used to practice their shooting. So there must be footage of him doing that. There's got to be more information. I think they got into his phone finally. So all of that information, needs to be forthcoming. If I were President Trump, I'd be completely frustrated by the lack of action that we've seen in the past year.
Looking back on that incident just more than 12 months ago now, and it was quite incredible watching the footage that Donald Trump happened to turn his head in at that moment. He was just milliseconds away from it being a different outcome. Do you believe it was divine intervention?
I do. I think that's the only thing that can explain that. I think it was the hand of God. And I think Donald Trump is a changed person because of it. He is, I think, different because he realizes he was saved for something important, and that is really to save America. Sometimes I think about what would have happened if he would have been killed. Kamala Harris would be our president right now. The country would have been thrown into turmoil. God really not only saved President Trump, he really saved the country. It would be a disaster right now. So that's why I think he's acting with such urgency on so many issues. He realizes this is a gift from God that he's been given, and he is acting very quickly to try to get as much done as he can in this second term.
I want to talk to you about the Democrats. It appears some of them are encouraging attacks on ICE agents. Some desperate Democrats are showing that they're all in on this Trump resistance, and it appears that some are encouraging attacks. Look at this.
Donald Trump's modern-day Gestapo is scooping folks up off the streets. They're in unmarked vans, wearing masks, being shipped off to foreign torture dungeons.
This is America. This is not the Soviet Union. We're not behind the Iron Curtain. This is not the 1930s. And every single one of them, no matter what it takes, no matter how long it takes, will, of course, be identified. That, in fact, is the law.
They're acting more like vigilantes than of agents of our government. How can we even trust that these are government officials. It's nothing more than kidnapping.
And just like what Tampon Tim said, Ilhan Omar claimed that ICE agents were sending illegals to dungeons around the world. She says that we're seeing people be abducted and sent to dungeons in foreign countries. I mean, Jeff, this is insane, and these claims are being made by the left while ICE agents are getting shot at.
Right. It is insane. Now remember, go back to COVID. I mean, the Democrats were masking up. I mean, they were all for masks. I mean, the Democrats never met a mask they didn't love during COVID. Now they want people that are really being threatened, people whose family are being threatened, to be unmasked so that they can be targeted. And let me tell you, these leftists, many of them are deranged. Many of them do commit violence. You've seen an incredible increase in the attacks on ICE. More people were deported during the Obama administration, yet there was never an attack on ICE. This is all because of the Trump derangement syndrome and all the left-wing nonsense that is being really targeted at Donald Trump. They see this as a way to get after Donald Trump. And really all he's doing is sending ICE out to take people out of this country that are here illegally. And they're starting with the violent ones, the ones that have criminal records.
Yeah.
And the American people support this. They don't want these people in this country. So the Democrats can continue on this road, but it's not going to help them politically. I think it's going to make it even harder for the Democrats to win back power, because I think they're out of step with the American people. I really do.
Yeah, and you make a good point that the data and the polling shows that the majority of Americans do support this, do support deporting illegals. And as you say, ICE agents at the moment, I think assaults are up more than 700%, which is so concerning. But LA Mayor Karen Bass, she's been campaigning against ICE, and she's signed an executive order which includes offering cash payments to illegals in response to the ICE raids. She says cash cards with a couple of $100s on them can be distributed by immigrants' rights groups in the space of about a week.
The executive directive that I will be signing in a few minutes is to help the city family, to help the city workforce, to help the city departments and all of the general managers essentially develop preparedness plans that have specific protocols and that help city workers know how to address immigration officials should they approach a city department.
Jeff, as you say, some of these raids has resulted in detaining countless violent criminals, but Karen Bass, we just heard her, she's doubling down on her defence of illegals.
Karen Bass is someone that trained in communist Cuba. So she is a communist. Of course, the mayoral leader in New York is a socialist / communist. I mean, that's the direction the Democrat Party is going into, the far, far left. And you know, she's talking about this kind of assistance program for illegals. What about our working citizens? What about those that are legally here, that are tax paying? What assistance is she offering them? And of course, these illegals are taking jobs that could go to legitimate citizens of this country. And they are really doubling and tripling down here with this program of getting behind folks that are here illegally. It's amazing to me. I don't think it's going to work. Karen Bass has presided over a horrible response to the fires, the riots that occurred a few weeks ago. Now she's doing this kind of a program. She's trying to really usurp what the federal government has a responsibility to do. Cities have no right to get in between what ICE agents are doing. That's not the role of a mayor. So it just goes to show you the split that we have in this country between the two parties. And I think the Democrats are just moving further and further to the left. I don't think it's going to help them. I really don't.
I want to talk to you about an Australian story that is making headlines around the world. The e-safety commissioner here, known as E. Karen, has been pushing to have children banned from YouTube. Now, it has been revealed that Julie Inman Grant's office actually published several children's cartoons to YouTube as part of her own social media publishing strategy.
Only you have the power to protect your personal information. You know what? You're right. I'm saying no to Jeddah. I'll be careful who I share my personal information with. It's a good thing you're so responsible, Wanda. Well, it is my greatest power. We all have the power to be responsible. Protect your personal information. And if you're still not sure, ask an adult you trust for help.
eSafety has a lively YouTube page featuring videos with cartoon animals, kid-friendly animations to educate children. Yet the eSafety Commissioner has been pushing to ban 15-year-olds from YouTube. I mean, Jeff, how would Americans handle this sort of thing over there if there was this censorship push, this pushing for a YouTube ban for children?
You know, it would not go over well. I mean, this is a country that has a First Amendment. Thankfully, efforts to try to censor Americans have not gone over well. You saw it during COVID. There was a pushback. Hillary Clinton was doing an interview the other day where she was talking about, you know, banning material on social media, and she got a lot of blowback for that. It's not something that the American people like to see. I mean, as long as the content is not promoting violence or profanity or something that is, of course, not appropriate for young people, I don't think American people would stand for that at all. So, yeah, it's just thankfully something that we have in this country that we need to make sure that we embrace, and that's the ability to speak our minds and to have this First Amendment. It really sets us apart from a lot of countries.
Jeff Crouer, thank you so much for joining us on Power Hour. Great to speak with you.
Thanks so much.
Joining us now for all the royal news is Louise Roberts, News Corp columnist. Louise, great to see you.
Good to see you too, Gabriella.
Let's start with Wimbledon. The Princess of Wales received a huge round of applause and cheers as she arrived. Let's take a look. Wow, look at that. And the Princess of Wales, Princess Catherine, she's making a steady return to public duties following her cancer diagnosis, and she wowed centre court, handing Yannick Sinner the Wimbledon trophy. What more can you tell us about her involvement at Wimbledon?
Well, the Queen in waiting is back, isn't she? She absolutely owned centre court on the weekend. So was that appearance we've just seen there in the beautiful cream suit and the standing ovation, which still gives me goosebumps when I watch that as well. And when, of course, she gave the Wimbledon final winner his trophy, which is beautiful. But then, of course, the next day on Sunday when she arrived with William and also the two children, George and Charlotte as well, and the way the crowd just erupted. This is applause again. Everyone is so thrilled to see her back. I think it's very much too, it's, you know, wearing the royal blue dress and having the Wimbledon sort of ribbon just below her collarbone on the right side. It's very much Kate is back, and it's a real statement from her about quiet power and dignity, and I might be in recovery but I'm not retreating. I will choose which events I go to, and of course Wimbledon's a fabulous event. It's very public, it's broadcast to millions, and she didn't go to Ascot as we know, but she's chosen Wimbledon to come back into the scene with, of course, those two beautiful children.
Yeah, it was amazing. I agree with you. I get goosebumps as well, just looking at that applause, how loved she is. And yeah, I completely agree with that assessment of Princess Catherine. There were so many kind of heartwarming moments throughout Wimbledon watching it. There was a cute moment when she was with Princess Charlotte. They were smiling at one another as they were enjoying the tournament. Plenty of heartwarming moments there. Now let's talk about the King and Queen, who will be hosting Donald and Melania Trump on a state visit to the UK in September. So the US President and First Lady will be staying at Windsor Castle, and it will mark the first time a world leader has received a second state visit to the country. What can we expect from this?
Well, they're arriving September 17 and they're spending 2 days at Windsor Castle with, of course, with Charles and Camilla. So Donald Trump and Melania will be there. And as you say, it is unprecedented, especially for a world leader to get that second state visit at Windsor. So it really does show, I think, that Charles is being very strategic in a sort of political space. It's not just about the pageantry here. It's more about building a relationship with Donald Trump. And they've already got a great friendship, as we know. And of course, we know that Mr. Trump loves the royal family. He was very effusive about the late Queen, calling her a great lady. And I don't think it hurts that Charles is working very hard to keep that relationship strong, given, of course, that Harry lives in the US and has a rather checkered past with the actual president himself, as does Meghan. So I think, you know, Charles has been very strategic. He's been very savvy, and he just wants to keep that relationship strong with the US. I understand the invitation was delivered personally by the Prime Minister Keir Starmer in February when he had a meeting with Trump at the Oval Office. So Trump's had a long time to get very excited about this, and of course he is very excited, saying, you know, it's wonderful and it's beautiful and I can't wait to go over there and see them. So, you know, it's great. It's all really good news, I think, from the sort of US-British relations.
Yes, and interesting, as you mentioned, the checkered past with Harry and Meghan. Well, after years of public estrangement with Prince Harry and King Charles, they may finally be inching towards reconciliation, with their senior aides spotted holding a private meeting in London. So it remains unclear at this point who initiated this meeting, but what would you say about this, Louise? Is this the most promising development we've seen so far in a potential patching up between Prince Harry and King Charles?
I do think it is. I think the fact that Charles's aide actually went to the meeting and spoke to Meredith Maines, who I believe is Harry and Meghan's new PR person, very effective. I think she brokered the BBC interview he did where he talked about wanting to have a reconciliation with his father. So this sort of leads on from that. And look, Charles's person didn't need to go. That meeting could have been an absolute snub, but it wasn't. So, and also the fact I think that Charles and his team haven't put out any comms since that meeting. Now, somebody obviously tipped off the paparazzi because the meeting was held at a private club near Clarence House, and that photograph was done on a very long lens. So obviously someone was waiting to capture that picture. We don't know who tipped them off. I mean, we could speculate that maybe Harry's camp has more to gain from doing that. We just don't know. So either way, it's a good look for both of them to be seen to broker peace through their representative, and it's not done through lawyers. There's no kind of nasty tone to it. It was very sort of upbeat and peaceful, and let's hope that is the start of a reconciliation between Charles and his youngest son.
We'll see. It also comes after the King appeared to recently snub Harry. King Charles omitted Prince Harry from a speech praising my son, Prince William, during the state banquet for French President Emmanuel Macron. So reconciliation might be easier said than done, but...
It could be, but let's hope that this is a new path forward for them, because they've both got a lot to gain, I think, from patching things up, and a lot to lose from continuing this sort of global feud that's been happening.
Oh, absolutely. Well, let's talk about another family feud that is playing out in the public. Please bring us up to speed on the fallout with the Beckham family drama. There's apparently been this social media war between the Beckham kids. It appears that the Beckham brothers are publicly fighting after Romeo and Cruz blocked Brooklyn on social media. What's happened here?
Yes, so I think despite David and Victoria's best efforts to keep this spat out of the public eye, it's gone fully nuclear now. And it's interesting, the social media aspect has been described as the sort of Gen Z version of World War III, because it's not been played out in headlines, which is traditionally where celebrity families would, you know, maintain their positions and sort of argue with each other. It's all done on social media. So yes, Cruz and Romeo have reportedly blocked their older brother on Instagram, which is a real statement in this day and age, very much so. And apparently it happened a day after Brooklyn made a mention of his younger sister's 14th birthday and wished her happy birthday to Harper. So look, I think, and I've said this before, I think Brooklyn's made his point. He clearly wants to be his own person away from the Beckham brand, but I still think behind the scenes he needs to work very hard to patch things up with mum and dad, because it's moved from parents v son to now a war between the brothers. So what's next? I mean, complete estrangement from the family? I don't know, and I do hope not.
Yeah, I agree with you. Very interesting though. Louise Roberts, thank you so much for joining us. Great to speak to you. And that is Power Hour. Thank you for your company. Make sure you subscribe to Sky News Australia on YouTube.